Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and we're so pleased to have in the studio with us today Aaron Locks. He is the founder and CEO of the National Academy of Athletics. How you doing, Aaron?
If I was any better, it'd be illegal.
That's good. We will not give you any tickets for being any better in this aspect of it. Celebrating your 12th year in business, is that correct?
Yes, in this particular one, working with kids, yeah.
Exactly. Talk about the mission of this organization.
We're really reaching out and connecting with kids to help them live healthier and happier lives through youth sports. I don't think there's any better life skill teaching tool than youth sports, and Lord knows we need it now, don't we?
We need it more than anything. Are you located here in San Diego, or are you somewhere else?
The headquarters is actually up in Northern California. We are a nationwide company franchising. Right. However, we do have programs in San Marcos and La Mesa currently will be running, and we have actually got pre-approved vendorship with the city of San Diego. So
that's a big
good things
deal.
are coming. Good things are coming.
No, that's what got you the idea to do this in 2012?
Well, it goes back to my working with Coach Wooden. I was very blessed right out of college to work for Coach Wooden, and I learned a lot, probably more about life and everything. But my dad left when I was 3, and if it wasn't for the coaches in my life, there's no way in the world that I'd be where I am today. And so being able to take that and give back to kids, and the rest is history.
So when did you meet with Coach Wooden?
1983, I was his driver and demonstrator, and I would go around and I would have the ball and I would, demonstrate the drills and got to drive and sit and hang out with him. And we could do a whole nother thing on his pyramid of success, just amazing stuff.
Well, is this when he was in the Valley?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So a little bit of my background, my father taught medicine at UCLA. So we had season tickets the day Pauley Pavilion opened for 13 years. So from 65 to 78. And then hard to believe I actually played basketball with a lot of the guys that played for Wooden. Marcus Johnson played at Crenshaw High, which is a rival of the school I played at.
Wow.
And so I was pretty much at Pauley Pavilion every day in the summer. Playing ball. I got to meet Coach Wooden a bunch of times.
Right.
Very classy guy for 87 different reasons. And for our listeners, if you're scratching your head on the pyramid for success, all you need to do is Google it. And then anybody who's been around Coach Wooden, former players, folks like Aaron, they have that enshrined at their house. There's so many great life lessons, on that. This is, you're so spot on. Sports teaches you so many things, as you well know. Did you play sports?
I did. I played 3 sports all the way through high school. I was able to play a little college basketball. And when I got the opportunity to work with Coach, I just said, you know what, I'm done. I thought I was going to be the guy going and playing and continuing, but at 6 foot, not good.
Well, you never know. If you have a 35-inch vertical jump, you would have been doing pretty well. Where'd you play college ball?
Up in Southern Oregon, up in Ashland. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's right. So, with the National Academy, athletics, are you working with local rec groups? Are you working with school districts? Are you working with club sports? All of the above?
Yeah, in a nutshell, we work with everybody. And I will tell you, though, that there's been a shift and an emphasis for us to bring recreational sports back to recreational programming. So I'm doing the best I can to really push forward to help rec centers, municipalities, YMCAs, Boys and Girls Club, to bring recreational sports back to the communities. There's been so much emphasis on your kid's going to get a college scholarship. That's why you should do it. Where, when you and I were kids, we went and just played ball because it was fun. And I want that experience back in kids' lives. So we're helping rec departments, bring that back. Yeah,
we're going to be joined by my co-host and associate producer of Spotlight on the Community, Rachel Lee. Rachel is a cyber expert. She's at Georgia Tech University. She's been working with us for quite a while. Very impressive. Rachel, are you a sports person?
I am. I played field hockey and lacrosse in high school.
Very cool.
So I love what I'm hearing about your organization so far, and I think you guys are doing amazing work.
Appreciate that.
Now, do you do field hockey and lacrosse and as part of the academy?
So we do 11 different team sports, from pickleball for kids, right?
Oh, nice.
Lacrosse, basketball, all different sports. We've kind of stayed to the mainstream ones for each area, but we also see what's indigenous to those communities. Some communities want pickleball and some don't. Some want lacrosse, some don't. So we do our best to try to provide what the community's looking for rather than trying to force something down their throat. We want to kind of go another way and bring it forward.
Yeah, what's interesting about this, and I was just talking to someone, and my heart breaks for those, we'll focus on all kids for that matter, but especially those that were in high school during COVID. I just can't imagine, I imagine you're the same way, that in your senior year of high school, that all of a sudden you're not playing. I just cannot even imagine how tough that was.
Well, I've got 2 kids. One is 22 and one is coming in, and they've lived through that. And both of them, my daughter, I had the worst experience in it. My son was going to play college basketball and stop because of COVID.
Wow.
And but there's an interesting thing. I work with the Aspen Institute in a program called Project Play, and there's a study that they've been talking about that really exemplifies this. And if they hear nothing else today, hear this.
Yes.
The kids that were between 3rd and 8th grade, particularly during the pandemic times, they say it'll take about 3 years for them to recover academically.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. So we're kind of coming out of it. But here's the scary part. Socially and emotionally, it could take up to 8 years to recover.
No.
Think about the fact that, you're playing lacrosse and then it's taken away. You have to wear a mask. You can't talk to all these other things that are so social and so important, gone. But here's the cool part. Through theater, through group activities, through team sports, especially recreational, it lowers it back and it speeds them through it. So to me, that's the deal. And again, getting back to my mission, that's what it's about, especially right now.
Yeah, without any question about that. We're chatting with Aaron Locks. He's the founder and CEO of National Academy of Athletics. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast, now in our 18th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for 6 decades. Doing great things for us folk here in San Diego County, joined by my co-host, Rachel Lee. She is an associate producer of our Spotlight on the Community Show. So, Rachel, were you affected by the COVID playing sports then? You must have been, correct?
Yeah. So I initially was going to start playing lacrosse my freshman year. Freshman year, the season didn't happen because of COVID. And then sophomore year, there was issues with not having enough people come out. And then one of the teams did not happen. So the first year I actually had a full season was my junior year. And I definitely felt that, I felt like I had lost 2 years because I felt like when I was graduating, it came way too soon. And that was because I had lost 2 years. So I can't imagine what it would have been like if I had been a junior or a senior during COVID. And I remember the first season playing field hockey after COVID, we had to wear masks while we were playing.
Oh, yeah.
And it was very difficult to kind of adjust to that new thing. We also had this thing where we couldn't be close to each other, and we had cones that were set up 6 feet apart. Right. So you're at practice with other people, but you're not really socializing because there's all these new things about social distancing. And I definitely agree with what you were saying about how that it could potentially take 8 years for the social recovery, the social aspect of gaining your social skills back.
Think about this. We ran a league with 2,400 kids during COVID. And and to dance through all of the challenges that we had to do through that and just what you're talking about. I will say, though, that I think kids are pretty resilient.
They are.
You obviously are. And we're coming back where we want to be with it. So it's good.
Talk about this. You were a 3-sport letterman in high school and playing some ball up in Southern Oregon. And you're really laser beamed on, or bullish, I should say, on playing multiple sports and not just lock yourself into whatever and that's all you do. Talk about that.
Absolutely. A child's body is an all-terrain vehicle, and you got to use it. And it'd be like taking my old Jeep. I got an old Jeep, and take it on the freeway and leave in first gear. What are you doing? Drive it, experience it. Kids have to learn. And look, the challenge is this, several things. One is the big repetitive sports injuries, right? If you play baseball and you're playing year round, you're throwing, guess what? You're going to wear your body out.
Yeah, rotator or whatever.
Right, rotator.
Tommy John.
And Tommy John.
Yeah.
They said there's over 600% increase in Tommy John surgeries
There is.
in the last 15 years.
There is.
Because why? They're wearing themselves out. But here's the other one to me that I think is even more. I love steak. But if you made me eat steak 365 days a year, I'd become a vegan. I don't want to be a vegan. I like my steak. So by playing for different coaches at different levels, by playing different sports, you get a different experience. To me, it's the same as going to different countries and different cultures to get different lessons. It's so important. When you get to be 13 or 14, then you can specialize. Prior to that, play it all.
Yeah, when we come back, we're going to chat more with Aaron Locks. He is the founder and CEO of the National Academy of Athletics. Want to really dive into the question of playing with your high school team or club sport or both, and that certainly is something that's a little bit different than when I was playing sports, when there was barely running water and there were peach baskets up there in the day in NASMAT. And I know Rachel has some more questions for you as well when we return with another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast, now in our 18th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for 6 decades, doing great things to lift up us folk living in San Diego County. I am joined by Aaron Locks, founder and CEO of the National Academy of Athletics, and my co-host, Rachel Lee. She is an associate producer of the Spotlight on the Community Show. Before we get back to Rachel with some questions for you, back in the day, and I'm really dating myself, you played for your team, and it was really interesting. And you bring up Coach Wooden. Coach Wooden's summer camp was at my high school, Pacific Palisades in Los Angeles. And what was really interesting and our coach, Jerry Marvin, I'm not sure if you knew him, was a good friend of Wooden. We played the Wooden offense and all that business, and we were pretty successful when I was playing ball there. But we had a whole deal where there was a junior league. We called it Herb's League. Herb actually was the timekeeper at Poly Pavilion. But you literally was so bright about what Coach Marvin did. When you went through the junior league, 7, 8, and 9, you're learning the Pally way of playing ball. And if you're good enough to make the team, then when you get into high school, you do it. Talk about how that is important and maybe the juxtaposition of club sports, huge now, versus you're younger than me, I know that, but I'm sure high school sports were real critical to you. Obviously, you were a 3-sport letterman.
I'm not as much younger as you might think.
Okay.
Life's been good.
Yeah.
I will tell you, though, this is a big part of my heart, because I feel like what's happened is that a couple major shifts has happened. One is, if you looked at 20 years ago, 30 years ago, a majority of the coaches in high school were on-campus teachers.
That's right.
The relationship they had with the students was truly student-athlete. Now, a majority of those coaches are off-campus coaches, and it's their livelihood. That's how they pay their house payment, which means they need to keep club, travel, elite going year-round to make money. So that pivot goes away from what you and I had the experience from Mr. Chavez and Coach Racine and all them.
Right. Exactly.
So that's the first one. The second one is that now that it's big business and it's competitive, they've blown it. I'm good friends with Rick Barry, not to name drop. I was just on the phone with Clifford Ray this morning. We were talking about this stuff. We focus so much, going back to Coach Wooden, focus on the effort rather than the result is the only way the desired result appears. Nowadays, these off-season travel club elite, and I use air quotes, those who can't see me right now, because you got a check. Come on, you're on the team. The problem is they're focusing on having the team win the games. But the problem is that they need to be focusing on the fundamentals and helping the kids fall in love with the game. The first camp I ever ran at Cal Lutheran with Magic Johnson, you guys will know the name, he looked at us and said, "What's our goal today?" And I was the camp director, so I'm like, "All right, we're going to do this. We're going to teach." He goes, "Win kids." Had that big magic smile. And I still believe today that's what it is. Win kids, help them learn. So back to your point and question about in high school, look, you got to do what your high school coach tells you because you want to play, right? The problem is that the pendulum of the power between the traveling club and the high school coach, it's all out of balance. For me, fundamentals, fun, fall in love with the game, stay safe, stay healthy, play something else, keep doing it. Because if you want to keep playing, that's the way it's going to work.
Rachel, what questions do you have for our friend Aaron? And if not, I can't wait to ask this one.
Yeah, I'm just hearing so much about how your organization's big emphasis is on kind of not just playing the sport. Like, yes, it's important to play your best, and like if you desire so to play at a high level, like that's also fantastic. But also like the soft skills like teamwork and communication and maybe working with people who you don't get along with, like those kinds of skills that come out of sports. And I think that was one of the reasons that I chose to play sports. I think nowadays there's also a big split between like if you want to pursue sports or if you want to pursue academics. Is that something that you've also kind of seen?
It's nuts. So to your first point, it's funny to me because if the ability to fall down and get back up, the ability for a parent to allow their child to fail. If you played baseball for 10 years in the majors, you got out 7 out of 10 times, and you struck out half the times you got out. In life, 70% failure, you suck. You're horrible. In that situation, you'd be very rich, you'd be a Hall of Famer. So sports teaches that if parents allow that process to go forward, but we have to be willing to allow the process and to trust the process. However, as you're going forward now, what I'm seeing the trend, and that's why we focus so much on the fundamental and the love of the game, the only way that these kids are going to have a chance of playing at a higher level, the only way is if they love it. If not, if it becomes a job, they're going to quit and they're not going to want to continue to do it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I played club as well in high school. And the difference between some of the people who I played club with were some of the most talented athletes that I've had the opportunity to play with. But in comparison to some of the kids who I played high school with, they just had so much pressure on them from their parents or like the expectation to like play at a certain level that they were 16 or 17. They'd been playing since they were 8, but they wanted to quit so bad and they were so burnt out, but they had so much potential.
You want to hear a really scary stat? Prior to the pandemic, there was a study done of kids that signed up to play sports for the first time. 61% of those kids 2 years later didn't play because there's too much pressure to be successful and not fun. If you put your kids in a situation where it's high pressure right off the gate and you're yelling and screaming at them, they've got to this, got to that, it becomes a job. It should be fun. I was in the Giants television commercials back in the day with Buster Posey and the guys. And we were talking about what does it take for a child to have a chance to play high school, varsity, college, or get paid to play. We were talking about fundamentals and all this. And Buster Posey says to me, he says, passion. And we talked a lot about it. And it's true. If it's your child's passion, if you're passionate about something, you're going to want to do it. You're going to do the work. And with kids, this is so important, the life lessons we're talking about. This is just a part of that process. The people tell me all the time, kids have changed these days. I say, you know who's changed? Their parents, right? That's the difference.
Have you heard the statistic? I I'm not exactly sure if this is the number, but it's like 90% of athletes quit on the ride home from practice or from the game.
The ride home, I've got a very good friend, VJ Stanley, who you should probably get a chance to chat with, who talks about the ride. The ride home from any sporting event with your child is the most important time. And I'm going to tell you right now, I could share real quick my story, which I love. When my kids, when they played, whoever got done playing got to choose if they sat in the front seat or the back seat, giving them power. 2, they got to choose what music they wanted to listen to. And it's not funny. My son, if he played well, would want to sit in the front seat. If he didn't think he did, he'd in the back, which clued me in. But here's the other thing. I never talked about the game. They got to choose where we were going to go have a snack or lunch, whatever the case may be. And as it turned out, it worked one day. We were coming back, and my daughter said, let's go to Applebee's. We had lunch. And before we could even sit down, we had finished the basketball game we had lost. She got the white and the pink sugar packets out, and she was diagramming the play, saying, Dad, we should have done this. And that's what you want. You want the kids to be so engaged and so in love with it that's what brings forward. And that's what we're doing at the National Academy of Athletics.
Well, I want to take a couple of points right here. We're chatting with Aaron Locks, founder and CEO of the National Academy of Athletics. I'm Drew Schlosberg, who's listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, joined by my co-host, Rachel Lee, associate producer of our Spotlight show. 2 things. I'm going to start with passion. One of the things, and I've been involved with the Classroom in the Future Foundation since its inception in 97, and we've known this since people were walking upright, Aaron, and you know this. When people are passionate about something, whether it's cyber, like Rachel's in, she's going to be one of our top cyber leaders not too far down the road. She's a sophomore at Georgia Tech University, one of the top schools for this. Or you're involved with engineering, whatever the case may be. We know that you raise the level of your expertise. Same thing in sports, without question. You and I probably had similar lives growing up. I was in the gym every 5 seconds because we loved it. We couldn't play enough in the gym, 8 hours, 10 hours, because no one was forcing it to it. We just couldn't wait to do that. And then we'd go ahead and bring the baseball bat and we'd play over the line, or we'd go play football. Every single sport you'd play every single day in the summer and all this. And you bring up a good point, Rachel, when the kids are just, looks like now it's a job at age 12. Are you kidding me? I don't want to do this, but I want to go back to something you talked about fundamentals in club sports. And Mark Ziegler is a reporter for the San Diego Union Tribune and does a great job covering Aztec basketball. He's also great at covering the Olympics. But I would always bemoan the fact these guys can't hit free throws. Are you kidding me? No one's guarding you, for God's sake. You better be shooting 83%, for God's sake. And there was one period of games, this was many years ago, where the Aztecs couldn't shoot, and of course no one was shooting in college basketball. He blamed it on club sports. Exactly what you were talking about, Aaron. He goes, they don't teach fundamentals there. Are you kidding me? All you want to do is be on ESPN with some, roundabout 360 dunk. You're not sitting there stopping at the foul line on a 3-on-2 or whatever the case may be. You're giving up baseline, which would get you on the bench when I played ball. Absolutely. And so forth on that. So you bring up a great point in that area. People want to get a hold of you, Aaron, and say, man, I want to be, involved in the National, Academy of Athletics. How do they get a hold of you, and what can they expect? Yeah, so this summer we're running camps in San Marcos and in La Mesa with the city. And the best way to do it is just go to nationalacademyofathletics.com, or catch us on social media, obviously, Facebook, all the ones, and catch us on LinkedIn, whatever it is. But nationalacademyofathletics.com is the best place to find everything. Well, I'm going to actually request, maybe beg is a better word, would love to have you come back sooner than later. I know you're up in the Bay Area. And how many times are you here in San Diego? 6 times a year. 6 times a year. Okay. When's your next time down? It'll probably be June. Okay, so let's go ahead and get you set up back in June. Bring in someone you'd like to, I'd love to share the story of the ride, the ride along guy, whatever the title of his thing is. Is he here, or is he in another part of the country? The gentleman you talk about, ride home. No, he's in New York, but he might come out. I don't know. We'll see what we can do. VJ would be an amazing conversation. Yeah, I mean, you cannot talk enough about the connection between sports and certainly the success, like Rachel's going to experience at Cyber, for everything we're talking about, the camaraderie, how to lose with dignity. What a shock that is, right? In this world. And so, any final comments?
I would just say that as parents, I've got 2 kids and played sports all the way through. Please remember, it's the kids' journey, and do everything you can to encourage them and allow them to fail, because understand, only through failure is how we grow, and that's where success is there.
Absolutely. Aaron Locks, what an absolute pleasure chatting with you. He's the founder and CEO of the National Academy of Athletics. We're going to look forward to your return appearance in June. Rachel Lee, listen, pretty soon all you're going to be doing is Spotlight on the Community Show stuff. You okay with that?
Sure, I love the show.
I know you do. I know you. Well, thank you for being my associate producer as well. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community. We are the nation's longest running community podcast, now in our 18th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We hope you enjoyed the show.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.